In August 1966, a quiet hillside in Brazil became the stage for one of the strangest and most chilling mysteries of the 20th century. It began innocently enough, a young boy playing with his kite on Morro do Vintém, a hill overlooking the city of Niterói. But that day his game came to an abrupt halt. Lying in the grass side by side were two men. They weren't moving. The boy ran for help, and soon the scene was flooded with onlookers and investigators. But the more they examined the bodies, the stranger the story became. These men, identified as Miguel José Viana and Manuel Pereira da Cruz, were dressed in suits, formal, pressed and oddly out of place in the wilderness. Over their eyes, each man wore a crude lead mask, the kind you might imagine shielding against radiation. There were no signs of trauma, no blood, no struggle. They were just lying there. What happened to these two men? And why had they ended up on this lonely hillside, wearing masks that only deepened the mystery? To understand this story, we need to go back 2 days before their deaths. Miguel and Manuel were ordinary men. Both were electronic technicians, known for their work repairing radios and small devices in their hometown of Campos dos Goitacazes. They were reliable, well-liked, and, by all accounts, deeply logical in their thinking. But on August 17th, something changed. The two men told their families they needed to make an urgent trip to Niterói to purchase supplies for work. They seemed calm. Nothing about their behaviour suggested anything unusual. They carried a large sum of money with them, enough to cover expenses and buy the equipment they claimed to need. Before leaving, they purchased a used car for the trip. It was a practical decision. Or so it seemed, but what their families didn't know was that Miguel and Manuel weren't heading to Niterói for business. When their bodies were found, investigators uncovered a series of perplexing details. Beside them lay an empty water bottle and a small notebook. Inside the notebook was a handwritten note, its meaning as cryptic as it was chilling. 4:30 p.m. Be at the designated location. 6:30 p.m. Ingest capsules. After effect, protect metals, await signal. Mask. The phrase ingest capsules sent chills down investigators' spines. Did these men poison themselves intentionally? If so, why, and what was the signal they were awaiting? But the real question was this: what metals were they protecting, and from what? Witnesses came forward to fill in some of the gaps in Miguel and Manuel's journey. Upon arriving in Niterói, the two men were seen purchasing the waterproof coats found on their bodies. They then went to a bar where they bought a bottle of water, the very bottle later found at the scene. Witnesses described them as quiet and focused, almost unnervingly so. Later, they were spotted on Morro do Vintém, accompanied by an unidentified man. Witnesses said this third individual seemed to be guiding them, though his identity has never been determined. But what struck everyone who saw them was their behaviour. Miguel and Manuel were anxious. They kept checking their watches over and over, as if counting down to something. As investigators dug deeper, they discovered a surprising aspect of Miguel and Manuel's lives. Despite their technical backgrounds, both men were deeply involved in spiritualism. They believed in the possibility of contacting extraterrestrial beings and were part of a small group devoted to these pursuits. Their interest wasn't casual. It bordered on obsession. Friends and family revealed that Miguel and Manuel often discussed experiments involving radiation and communication with otherworldly entities. They believed that certain rituals, combined with scientific tools, could open a channel to higher beings. The lead masks, investigators theorized, were part of these rituals. They were meant to protect the men's eyes from harmful radiation during what they thought would be a supernatural encounter. But if that was true, what went wrong? Theories about the lead masks case abound, each more unsettling than the last. One suggests that Miguel and Manuel were victims of a scam. Perhaps someone convinced them that they were on the brink of a breakthrough, only to use their trust against them. The mention of capsules in the notebook points to poison or drugs, but no capsules were ever found, and toxicology tests couldn't determine if they had ingested anything. Another theory is that they orchestrated their own deaths as part of a ritual gone horribly wrong? Did they believe they were ascending to a higher state of being? Did they think the capsules would bring them closer to the signal they were awaiting? Then there's the mysterious third man. Witnesses were clear. Miguel and Manuel weren't alone on the hillside. Who was he? A guide? An accomplice? Or something far darker? What makes this case so chilling isn't just the unanswered questions. It's the humanity behind it. Miguel and Manuel weren't criminals or outcasts. They were ordinary men, skilled in their work and loved by their families. And yet, their fascination with the unknown led them to a fate no one can explain. Their deaths are a reminder of the dangers of obsession, of how easily the line between curiosity and compulsion can blur. Were they dreamers searching for something greater than themselves? Victims of deception? Or were they simply two men who believed too much in the impossible? Even now, the lead masks case remains a haunting enigma. Why lead masks? Why the cryptic instructions? What was the signal they were waiting for? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, how did they die? The hillside where Miguel and Manuel took their final breaths still stands, a silent witness to a mystery that has baffled the world for over half a century. Their story is more than just an unsolved case. It's a testament to the human desire to seek answers, even when those answers might lead to our downfall. And maybe that's the scariest part.